What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Fans View podcast. This week, I'm so excited to welcome on some more alumni from Cards HQ. You've seen Slab Mania. We always love to have such a good time with her. At her recommendation, I want to introduce my next guest. He's a fellow breaker at Cards HQ, maybe a future podcaster. I don't know. I'm not sure. I want to introduce you guys to Grizz. I'm not even giving out his full name because Grizz is just a kick-ass name, and I'm going to treat him like he's Prince. Just Grizz.
There we go.
What's going on, Grizz?
Hey,
How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Great to be on. Thanks for having
Dude,
me.
I'm just going to, heck yeah, of course. I'm just going to jump right into this with you. Obviously, Haley Slabbania was kind enough to put us, together. Between you and I, because she'll never listen to this, is there anything you want in this world more than the Cavaliers to lose a game?
I'd like the Hawks to win a game. That would be great. But yeah, she keeps rubbing it in very daily about reminding me the Cavs are on a winning streak, and I think that's about all she's got to hold on to from the state of Ohio right now.
Yeah, I almost feel bad. We can't not. I want to knock her off that pedestal just because I'm a little bit salty about it. But at the same time, the poor girl has to cheer for the Browns. We're just gonna give her a pass, I guess, on this
We'll
one.
give her a pass. We'll give her a pass.
So I said in the intro, you are a fellow breaker at Cards HQ. What's it like to work at a place like Cards HQ that it's not your everyday breaking site? You guys do a lot with Whatnot. Cards HQ is like, if even in a short lifespan, has become a very established brand. You work with someone like Jeff Wilson, who in and of himself is very established. Can you talk a little bit about that dynamic?
Yeah, so I originally got my start at a smaller shop, and we had a sports department going on with that one, and unfortunately, I mean this was about a year ago now. The owner of that shop got into a bad accident and passed away. I hate to say it, but he was a very dear friend of mine. But with that being said, his owner, the a co-owner had said, well, hey, they wanted to keep me kind of involved in the hobby, and I wanted to stay involved in the hobby, but the sports side was going to fall a little bit because of that. And I asked him, I was like, yo, man, I was like, do you know Ryan and Carter? They're doing interviews. If you can give me a referral, that'd be great. Come to find out, my owner and those two knew each other from shows. So I had an interview in November, like exactly right at a year ago today is when I interviewed, and they originally offered me the full-time breaking position, and I had a big construction job I was doing at the time, so I couldn't jump right on it. So they brought in somebody else, and I came in and was just doing like a side chair role, working around that schedule until that opened up. And then I came on full time in early April, and I've hit the ground running. But as far as the dynamics, it was night and day difference, 100%. It was I went from like literally a small shop with literally working in a closet with a spotlight on me practically, and a microphone and a cell phone in front of me doing breaks to, this state of the art operation that I mean, it took me a week just to learn the controls of what cameras do, how to set this up, how to set up your emojis that we use, and how to set up the effects of when someone hits a big card, being able to put a little bit more emphasis of just a regular let's go or a bang or whatever.
Yes.
So we try to take it a lot further and stuff. We've even got I've coming up in the next 2 months, I'll have my own Grizz emoji that's going to be coming up. I'll get to use in this stuff just to have some fun and to make it more personal for each breaker that we have there as well, because we have a quite a good team that's already rolling there as well. So, and to probably answer a question you'll end up asking, I do see Jeff almost every day. He's probably the most personable person you've ever seen, like walking over, giving high fives. If I need him to ever like sign something or, hey man, can you, I got a picture, I got a fan that's like wanting an auto. Can you sign something? Yeah, he'll stop what he's doing and handle that and get it sent off. And definitely part of the hobby. He doesn't tip his nose to turn somebody down for sure. So it works out really good. It's a good dynamic.
Yeah, that's so awesome to hear because you wouldn't be surprised if somebody in Jeff's position that has so much on his plate was like, "Nah, man, I don't have time right now," and he could be like that, but it's great to hear that he's not.
Yeah, big time.
So you kind of answered my next question. Was what were you doing before Cards HQ? So I guess we're gonna bring it back even farther. What were you doing before your last card breaking job?
So obviously, I got in the hobby when I was a kid. My family would take me to wherever you could buy a pack of cards. I mean, I was a product of late '80s, early '90s junk wax cards. I mean, I had stacks and stacks and stacks back before we even had sleeves and top loaders. We had the screw downs. Which is our which is our big thing. I'm probably showing my age a little bit here, but yeah, we had all that. I ended up keeping all those cards. Kind of when I got into high school, some of the collecting wasn't as popular, at least with the stuff I was doing. So I did kind of die down with it, and a lot of people, including myself, came back into it during COVID when we had a lot of free time on our hands, being able to sit around. So the card shop that I worked at was literally a mile from my house. So me and some buddies would get together, would go up there and talk to the owners and learn about cards again, where things were. It's actually very overwhelming, when you get back into it now, where you're finding
Yes.
out, wow, you have on card autos, you have parallels, you have Panini, you have tops, you have, wait, Don Russ isn't its own thing anymore. This is the
Yeah.
stuff I walk into coming back into the hobby, and it just caught me completely off guard. But yeah, I was doing my own, like, I'd owned my own business for about 15 years, doing like big construction jobs all across the southeast, actually. And so it took a lot for me to make that big leap, but I also believed in what Ron, Carter, Jeff were doing, and I seen it firsthand, from opening day till I made the decision, a couple months later, to say, you know what, guys, I know that I probably would make more money doing this, but I love going to work every single day, and it's never something that I'm just like, man, I got to go rip cards and look at crazy stuff for 8 hours. That has never crossed my mind, and still hasn't. I'm what, 7, 8 months strong into this, and still haven't had a day where I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like ripping cards today.
So you said you're a product of the junk wax era. Obviously, I'm sure you still have stacks and stacks that are worth about 6 cents collectively.
Collectively, yeah.
When you were yeah, when you were back in that era, who was some of the athletes that you PC'd even back then?
So I grew up. I'm about the shop's 5 minutes from the stadium, but obviously back when I was growing up, we had Fulton County Stadium, which was in downtown Atlanta. So I live about 45 minutes from there. So I grew up collecting all the Braves guys, David Justice, Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, all those big three pitchers, Fred McGriff, and then obviously when you're going, you have the big home run hitters, the McGuire, the Bonds, Griffey, those guys as well and stuff. And I mean, going back and looking at it, I'm like, man, I got 150 different Barry Bonds cards that's probably not really worth the paper they're printed on. Then occasionally I go through the collection and I'm like, oh wow, I do have a couple of rookies, okay, so that's a little something, but luckily I kept a lot of cool stuff that, I had about 10, 15, Griffey upper decks for, rookies. So,
That's very
which were
cool.
really hard to find, but we went through so much wax at one time that it wasn't very expensive. You were getting them for like $1 or $2 a pack versus now they're, $20 a pack.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a way different now, but there wasn't, guaranteed autos or parallels or any of that stuff anymore.
So is that at this point, is that still your PC these days? Is it mostly just your Braves players or
Yeah, so Braves players is probably like my biggest thing. If I'm down in the office, we've got Braves jerseys hanging up from Freddie, Smoltz, Andrew Jones, like all these guys, Acuna. My personal PC though, I was there at the game, the opening or the day that Michael Harris made his start for the Braves, and he ended up
okay.
winning, Rookie of the Year that year. And I went big on him, so I've got a ton of his stuff. That's probably my biggest PC. If you come up to the shop ever, I've got a whole cabana set up and they let me decorate a lot of it. And it is Michael Harris everywhere and stuff with a little bit of Kobe Bryant now. So I got
Okay.
Kobe jerseys hanging up. So try to diversify a little bit, but no Cavs stuff. So that is not crept up into the studio yet.
Oh,
I'm
you
sure
just
it's
wait.
coming. I'm
You
sure it's
just
coming
wait.
after she sees this. You're gonna want to throw some Cavs stuff.
That and some Nick Chubb jerseys are going to be
My God,
everywhere.
yeah.
I was really hoping you were going to whip like a really obscure Braves player from the late 90s on me, like throw a Rafael Cal at me or something.
I do have a ton of cards. I mean, I've got like three rows and three rows and three rows of just Braves people. And some of it's probably not worth anything, but it's just that's, when you love a team and you're a diehard collector, win, lose, draw, you always are rooting for the same team. It doesn't matter. So, and I've got, people that, play for the Braves and then they switch to the other team. And I maybe have a little less of that person with that team, but, I still covet the Braves jersey days of whoever that may be.
Yeah, Freddie comes to mind.
Yeah, Freddie comes to mind, and Fred McGriff was a big one too. He started out with the
Yeah,
Blue Jays, and then he ended up coming to the Braves for a little while and made a big impact there. I don't really have a lot of his like Blue Jay stuff, but the Brave stuff I've got a lot.
right, right. So I guess I don't want to change subjects from the hobby, but my one of the questions that I love to ask people, because I love to bring people on here and just hear their stories. That's why I like to have such an eclectic group of people. And this is always one of my favorite questions that I have to ask is what is the best piece of advice, whether it be hobby related or not hobby related, the best piece of advice that you can recall ever being given?
Man, I could see a lot of different angles on this. It's not the price tag that you give someone, it's the experience. That's probably been my biggest one and I've applied it to everything that I've ever done my whole life, especially from high school on, whether it be, a job where, it might be an expensive job, but the experience was worth it versus, here in the hobby, I'm a breaker full time and stuff. And there's a lot of times people look at me like I'm crazy because I'll start off a break and I'm giving teams away. But in the reality of it, more people want to be in that because sometimes the teams I'm giving away is probably not teams that they want, or something like that. And so the people buying into it actually appreciate that team's gone,
Yeah,
so
right.
they don't have to spend, hundreds of dollars in risk hitting, a team that they definitely don't want. But yeah, so when we say that, we always end up saying our show's kind of turned into a baseball podcast, because people come on there and get a lot of knowledge from, me and the co-host talking about stuff. So yeah, we try to provide a good experience. And a lot of people that come on there say, this is my first time. I didn't even buy anything, but I love sitting here listening to, the content or whatever you are talking about at the time, and stuff like that. So definitely that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely that's a good point you make is as much as the people that are getting freebies appreciate it, I'm sure the people that are buying in, to pull schemes and they're there to pull
Hmm.
like, all the rookies, they want the Shoheis. They really don't have a lot of interest in the Colorado Rockies. So the quicker you can get that off the board, the better, the
Yeah.
faster we're ripping, the less
Yeah.
money they have to spend getting the Rockies off
Hmm.
the wheel. So
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. Exactly right.
So, being that this is the Fans View podcast, another staple question that I have to ask is outside of breaking when you're not, in your cabana, you know, and I'm going to disqualify the Braves too. What are you a fan of outside of the hobby and outside of the Braves as a whole? What are you a fan of?
So I love traveling. Me and my girlfriend, we go all over the place, and we always try to make good use of the time that I have free and stuff like that. And so we'll usually well, at least once a month we'll try to do Texas or Colorado, or just jump on a plane and pick somewhere. Which is luckily the card schedule was super flexible with I work usually 4 days out of the 7, so I usually have about 3.5 days off to be able to do stuff. So yeah, that's kind of my. If you'd asked me a year ago, it'd been woodworking. I love to build custom wood projects, but I've gotten a little older, and so I like to just go enjoy a glass of bourbon and a cigar out of state somewhere, a little more than I like to build.
That's a very good answer. And then of course, I think we both share a passion of busting slabs balls on a regular basis.
Yes, yes,
That
yes,
goes without saying.
yeah.
So originally, I was going to ask you because I'm sure Haley's told you, I have to, every new guest has to do a Mount Rushmore with me. I am such a nerd. I love putting people on the spot with these.
Okay.
I was gonna ask you the Rushmore of the cards you've pulled on stream, but we're gonna pivot. And I think since you're such a passionate Braves fan, we're gonna go with your Atlanta Braves Mount Rushmore. And I want
Boy.
to qualify that by saying you don't have to give the PC answers. You don't have to put Hank Aaron and Chipper on it. I want your, even if they're obscure, if Rafael Furcal is on there, and yes, I
Yeah.
have, he is so in my head. That's a whole nother story right now. But who is your Mount Rushmore, of Atlanta players?
Yeah. So Hank has always been a passion. I have a huge picture up on my wall of him hitting the 755 home run, and he signed it back a long time ago. So that one's always been a really cool one. But Hank's always been a big one. Freddie has now turned into a huge love of mine, and not because of who he is on the field, but because of who he is off the field. He's a very, very, very good, genuine person who gives back to the community and stuff like that. And that goes a long way with me, and stuff like that. And then Michael Harris, my personal PC, he's my dude. And for the fourth one, believe it or not, I actually, for the exact same reason of Freddie, is Ozzy Albies. He's very involved in the community as well, and he does a lot of stuff with animals. Big animal lover as well, but he does a lot of stuff with them. So it's it turns into I enjoy watching them. They're always a positive people.
Right, right.
Obviously not Hank anymore, but the other three.
Yeah, no, and I put you on the spot there because, man, whittling down Braves is a tough thing. I mean, just in recent history, you have people that you have to leave off that list: Acuna, Chipper,
Mhm.
Austin Riley, McCann. Just off the top of my head, and I'm not a Braves guy. The next question, you know what? I'm going to leave that till the end. I want to go back to your breaking a little bit, simply because I was going to ask you the Rushmore of cards that you've pulled. Just off the top of your head, can you think of like some of the big pulls you've
Yeah.
had, since getting the Cards HQ?
Yeah, so we got fortunate enough to early on. So Ryan and Carter, and Everett, the team, had bought a lot of product way prior to the shop even opening, in plans of it opening. So we ended up, I think our first like month and a half into breaking, we pulled up the Paul Skeens one of one from draft, which ended up, the customer came and picked it up, got it graded, it gemmed. He sold it for 65,000 at that time, and this was at the National. He sold it with Fanatics Collects, which was a huge card. We also had a Jackson Holiday Super Refractor Auto right before he became a rookie or got his call up, which the guy ended up selling it at the week of call up and maximized it for
Yeah, absolutely.
five figures plus as well. And then probably my favorite card, and a lot of people, I don't really get to talk about this one, but with some kind of people that were in my era, were pulled it was from museum collection, believe it or not, but it was the Derek Jeter Cal Ripken one of one dual bat auto, and it was a
Wow.
booklet. And the customer actually lived in Atlanta. He got the card to him, redeemed it, and brought it up and let me get to see it. I got a picture of it, and it was probably one of the coolest cards because it literally, you open it up and it was two black bats with the silver ink on it. It was just everything that screamed, a perfect a perfect balance of players and not too much, but and it wasn't too flashy of a card. It was just straight to the point of great, their bat, their signature, and that. And I got a list of quite a lot of other ones, but those three come to mind as
Yeah,
just like they'll stop you in your tracks, kind of thing.
man.
So
That is one hell of a card. That's two of the greatest shortstops of all time. And I'm a Red
hmm
Sox fan, but there's no denying Derek Jeter is one of the best players, in my opinion, in baseball history. So,
yeah, he was a great one to do it.
well, that begs the question now, since you mentioned the Skeens card. Let's play a little what if. All right. So Grizz is ripping Tops update, Chrome update. He hits the Skeens debut patch, closes the stream immediately. Of course, I'm kidding, folks. But in all seriousness, if you say you hit that Skeens patch in a personal box for yourself, are you taking that trade offer that the Pirates are offering, or are you giving that thing to Ken Golden and putting your kids through college?
So it's funny you asked that. Me and my dad had a conversation about this the other day, and he was like, that would be a crazy offer. He goes, but the money would be nice. He goes, but I just, there's something about going to a game and just knowing you go to a game every single year, whether we live in Atlanta or not, or in Pittsburgh. Um, I'm for the hobby 100%. I would take and get the card back to the rightful owner of who really wanted it, and I would probably get the deal incentivized a little bit more. I'm sure I could add in some other stuff in the mix of it, but I would definitely take the season tickets and the experience more than I would just take a lump sum and you know sit there and not have. I'd get the money and I'd probably end up blowing it back into the hobby. At least I'd have 30
Yeah,
years of tickets, to at least be like, yeah, remember that time 28 years ago when I pulled that card. That's it.
man.
I know. Probably a lot of people are going to hate me for that one, but
You're such a good guy because I'm a terrible piece of shit. No, Ken is gonna have that card before the end of the week, and I got to
yes,
tell you, Livy Dunn really she really upped the stakes when she said, somebody could come watch the game with her in the suite. And I was like, man, I think I'd trade it to the Pirates. And then Ken being Ken, I'm not sure if you saw his tweet, but he was like, you bring that card to me. You pay for your kids' college education. You use what's left to buy a Paul Skeens meet and greet, and you do it that way. It's hard to argue with.
yeah, no, I get it. I get it. I've pulled one of those debut patches before, and
Really.
which the shop just recently got contacted by that guy, by that player, looking for his, and I knew the person who hit it. I knew they sold on Whatnot. Reached out to him because I'm good. I make good friends with a lot of the people on there. He knew who he sold it to, and that guy still had it. And now he's linking everybody up. It happened to be Tanner Bybee from the Guardians. Go figure that.
God.
One of Slab's teams.
We can't escape her, can we?
But it just worked out to link everybody up and stuff. So whether it be Skeens, whether it be somebody else, I'm all for just what the hobby experience is about and what it brings and stuff. And in a world where everybody takes the money, I'm gonna take the experience. Like I said, I love to travel, so I'm about the experience. I'm about having a good time and that kind of stuff. And so sometimes you can't put a price tag on probably the other stuff you could end up getting out of it.
Yeah, no, I kid, but that is good on the Pirates for not being like, oh, we'll offer you, 10 grand and a signed bat. I mean, they really put their money where
They
their
upped
mouth
it.
is. Yeah,
They
yeah.
upped it big time.
And then like I said, with Livy Dunn getting involved, going above and beyond, she'll probably be what sways it if we're being honest with ourselves.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So I want to talk about before I let you go. We have sponsors. We have some stuff we need to talk about, man, because we're both in the hobby, and one of the biggest pains in the butt. And I could talk about it now because as I sit at my desk, I look down and I'm looking at 1,000 cards that I haven't sleeved yet. But I think you might have the solution if you're in need of some sleeves, some top loaders,
I
stuff
might.
like
I
that.
might. So
What do you got for us?
I've gotten fortunate enough, and a lot of this all happened at the National. I was walking around with Cards HQ and getting to talk to a lot of people and put a name with a face with, people like, oh man, yeah, I remember seeing you, you did a box battle or you did, you do giveaways, with Jeff and stuff. And so kind of the association really helped out a lot. But I'm a brand ambassador for BCW Supplies. So if you go to bcwsupplies.com, use promo code Grizz10. That'll that'll save you 10% on a purchase and unlimited purchases, not just one. And then if you take that card and you put it in your sleeve and you put it in your top loader and you want to display it, then you go to standupdisplays.com and then you can put in the Riz with Grizz, and that'll get you another 5% off of your displays. And then if you want to see what that card's worth, go to marketmovers.com and enter promo code Grizz, and that'll save you 10%. So I've kind of linked it with stuff that I like, and I like to be affiliated with. I like displaying my cards. I have my own, the Riz with Grizz, stands up on my cabana, and I use certain supplies, and I use certain programs to be able to comp all the cards, especially at shows or wherever, because usually at trade nights, and like to talk to the kids, and we'll look at things together, and I'll show them how to comp cards and do different things like that. So it kind of helps them to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I can definitely attest to that because as someone that is unfortunately not on Jeff Wilson's payroll, I am a Market Movers user. They're not going to be able to see it. It's going to be blurry. We'll try to focus it, maybe. You'll have to take my word for it. I'm a Market Movers user. That app is, whether you're a seller, whether you're just a fan that likes to, have some peace of mind, have some knowledge, like, hey, what are my cards worth?
Hmm.
Or you're at a show and you're like, this dude's charging $60 for this card, but it feels like a $20 card. Bam. You pull up Market Movers, you scan the slab, you're going to know immediately what that card's worth. Last sales. I mean,
Hmm.
the amount of information that's on Market Movers for the price point, I think the buy-in price point for Market Movers, even before the code, it's like $10 a month. That's a coffee and a half at Starbucks. So
That's it.
I cannot stress to you guys enough. Go try Market Movers out. I believe there's even a free trial, be
There
it
is.
14 or 30 days. It's well worth every single penny that you spend. And like Grizz said, go to Market Movers, use that promo code Grizz, Grizz, and just be more educated in the hobby. You can never have too much information because unfortunately, not everybody in this hobby is a Boy Scout. Some people will try to take advantage of you, but Jeff has really given us a very powerful tool to avoid, stuff like that. So the other question that I have to ask everyone, I love having fun on this show, but I always got to bring it down and we got to get real serious for a second. At this point in your life, Grizz, like you said, you're not a young buck anymore. What does the term success mean to you? Like what do you need to consider what you're doing, your life successful?
Yeah. So I'm actually glad you brought that up. So I got into, when I was owning my own business, a lot of podcasts, a lot of like self-help books, a lot of things like that. And one of the biggest things I picked up on was the different versions of success. And success, in my eyes, is being able to do something that you love and it not ever feel like a day of work. That's at least on my end. Like I said, owning my own business, I made really, really good money, but every day I had to hit the grind. I had to, keep going on. I had to worry about so many different things and stuff. And don't get me wrong, working for yourself is very self gratifying. If I can, over the time of, in the future, if I could find a way to kind of do what I'm doing and do it on my own in some way, to still be affiliated with the people that I love to be around, I would, that would probably be the end goal of that whole thing. Right now, I work with great people, and I can reach out, they reach out, and it's never feels like work. At this point, I feel very successful and grateful to be in that role. And I also get to work with Slab, and she's a character, so we're all the time making pranks and stuff. We move the pictures around on the board of each other and put new sticky notes on everybody's faces, and of goofy stuff like that. So when you're coming into a surprise, it makes life a lot easier.
I know that's right. So I guess when we're gonna bring this thing home, where can people get a hold of you? On Instagram, where can people see you? Where can we see Grizz rizzing it up, busting open packs of cards?
Yeah, so I'm on um, 3 nights out of the week. One of the mornings on Cards HQ breaks on Whatnot, and then on social, I'm on Instagram and TikTok, both at the underscore Riz underscore with underscore Grizz. So the Riz with Grizz. If you type that in, it'll pull me up. So you don't have to even put in all the underscores. But yeah, I post a lot of the hits, a lot of stuff with my traveling. Different things like that all the time. And then cardshq.com and cardshq shop ends up where I'm doing a lot of promo for the shop as well. So you can see me on the Instagram and sometimes on the website doing stuff for that too.
Awesome, brother. I love to
Yeah.
hear that. Like I said, you came very highly recommended. So I can't let you out of here. Speaking of, or alluding to our girl, Slab Mania, which you guys should also go follow, Slab underscore Mania. Perhaps a little podcast news you want to go ahead and break right here on the Fans View podcast?
Yeah, so I've been talking about doing a podcast for quite some time, and I ended up buying like a more of like a mobile setup because we do a lot of shows, and me and Slab and Saul, who's also one of our side chairs and stuff that works with us, we did a lot of stuff together at the National, and we realized like we have a really good communication and talking to people, and realized that we're constantly both introducing each other to other people in the hobby. So we got talking about it, and we were like, you know what, there's other people even outside of the hobby that we want to get involved with, people that we're friends with, that we want to hear different versions of stuff. Even Jeff was is possibly talked about, yo man, when you get it going, let me know. And and that's cool that bigger names wouldn't mind trying to help out for different things like that. So a lot working for us. So we've got the beginning phase of getting the equipment, and then now we're trying to get in the brainstorming side of like putting together the content of exactly what we're going to do, so we don't veer off a ton of one show's about this and then the other show goes completely a different direction. We want to try to stay consistent, and whatever that may be. So we've got some good ideas. We're both putting it on paper, brainstorming of the last bit. So yeah, it's going to work out really good, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm glad to hear that. And obviously, we here at the Fans View want to, wish you all the best of luck. Um, Thank you so much, man, for giving up your time. On a
Yeah,
Tuesday
for
night,
sure.
like you said, you're working 4 out of 7 days. So to go out of your way to give us some time is so appreciated. Go on Instagram, on TikTok, guys. The Riz with Grizz underscore between every word. Go to BCW, use promo code Grizz, hit stand up displays, the Riz with Grizz, and then of course Market Movers promo code Grizz will get you a little bit of money off, a little extra coin in your pocket. You can go spend on whatnot with them.
That's right. That's right.
With with that said, again, Grizz, I appreciate you so much, brother, and hopefully we can do this again sometime soon. Maybe we'll have you and Slab on. That'll be a complete shit show.
That will. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thank you, brother. And we'll catch you next time, folks. And as usual, call your mom.